That's fine. It's just fine. We were stressing out that we won't be able to make this. You know, look at this. Yeah, everybody's sitting around.
Hey, good evening and welcome to CC Portland for tonight's 108 and 208 stand-up showcase. Give it up! I'm Patrick Short. I'm co-owner and GM of CC Portland. Thank you for being here. The club president and co-owner is also in the room, Ruth Jenkins. Thank you, Ruth, for being here. The real power. Cool. So once again, we're here to support. Yay! Is this something you could do? Not right now, but later on you could, because Carl Wolfson will be leading 2 new classes starting in April. There's a intro level 1 beginning April 17th, and another intermediate level 1 beginning April 20th. And then you could see yourself up here in June, which would be pretty exciting. Cool. Awesome. So as long as Marianne is available, I think drinks are available. Yeah. We do have one rule, by the way. If you leave before the end of the night, you're automatically registered for a class and have to pay for it, whether you show up or not. And why I say that because sometimes people's friends are in an early set and they go, let's hit the bar. Or if they're Jamie Lee Curtis, let's go home and go to bed. And that's fine, but it's not super supportive to the other folks. So if you can hang out for the whole time, it won't run more than 90 minutes. There's no way. Well, there's a way, but it probably won't. That's pretty much up to Carl, I think. So anyway, we're really super glad you're here. This is a great thing. It's a great crowd on a Friday night for us. It's fantastic. You want to see what we do in improv? We're here every Saturday at 7 o'clock. If you're too lazy to come down here, you can watch on Zoom for free. Hi, people watching on Zoom. Including from La Quinta, California right now. Okay, cool, yeah. We actually have watchers for our improv from all over the world. There's a guy who watches most of the matches from Australia with his Sunday brunch. It's pretty amazing. So I do want to let the performers know, by the way, that at the desk we have these little mic condoms, because the previous person might have been all over the mic, and if you want to practice safe comedy, you can put that on. Also, anybody out there named Mike, if you want to come up to the desk, I'll give you one and you can figure out where it goes. Okay? Cool. Hey, but our teacher, Carl Wolfson's amazing. We had a teacher in the last decade who was really, really, really good, and then he got poached and then moved to LA, and he's having a career, and it's really great. Bless you. But I didn't want to have, while he was poached by another group, I didn't want to have the second best teacher, so we waited. But now we do have the best teacher in Portland. Carl Wolfson is amazing. He's got a 40-year career in comedy. He's appeared on The Tonight Show, on HBO, on all the places you appear. He's been on Portland Radio, Cape Ham, other places, doing his thing. And now he's bestowing the next generation with his knowledge and his support and his love, and it's fantastic. So he'll host tonight, so that's an extra bonus. Give it up, please, for Carl Wolfson!
First condom I've seen in years. Thank you very much for Patrick for hosting, and Ruth and everybody here. Boy, thanks for coming. And you mentioned love, and I do have love for my students. They're a terrific group. We're going to see 8 students tonight who have just put themselves out there. Give them a round of applause tonight. I love them. I do. I love you guys for family and friends for showing up to support them, because it's not an easy thing to get on stage, and especially in front of your families and friends. So, and I want to mention my husband's here tonight. Gary and I celebrated our 25th anniversary last December. Gary was here tonight. Yeah. 25 years. Gary's funny. He said something really funny about 3 weeks ago, and I said, "You should take my comedy class." And he said, "Oh, I've taken that class." Gary is beloved by all of my family. My mom was a little tough nut to crack, though. My mother, Republican, conservative Fox watcher who lives in Florida. You know, she and I have fought about politics since I was in high school. And it's like my trips to Florida, I would go down there and she, like one year she accidentally bleached my Obama t-shirt. So I set fire to her Glenn Beck Christmas sweater. So I think it was 98, I brought Gary down to meet my mom. We were having dinner and she looks across and she goes, now which one of you is gay? And I'm like, which she followed up with, well, we didn't have homosexuals in the 1950s. I said, well, somebody put the fins on those Cadillacs. Somebody did those beehive hairdos, come on. We have a friend, Jenny, who's lesbian, and she also has a very conservative Republican mother in Florida. And she said, she came out to her mother, she said, Mom, I'm a lesbian, and her mother goes, what's next, Jenny? Heroin? Lesbianism, the gateway drug, sure. Okay. Well, I'm going to be emceeing this show tonight. It's my honor to do it. Is these 8 students and the 9 you'll see tomorrow night have really come a long way in their 8-week course, and we're going to get Sunday. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow to an empty crowd, and they'll be performing before another huge audience on Sunday. Thank you, Patrick. So let's get started. Actually, our next performer has half the crowd here to see her tonight. You know who you are. She's absolutely wonderful, and she's in my intermediate class, and you're going to love her. Please welcome Hannah Miller. Bring her up.
Don't say intermediate class. I'm in the beginner class, just starting. Low bar, low bar. Yeah, my name's Hannah, and I'm going to just tell you a couple stories about myself tonight. So a few weeks ago, my boyfriend went on this all-guys camping trip in Whistler, Canada. And the day before he leaves, he's like, babe, let's share locations in case a bear attacks us, you can find me. He's so smart. Now, there's a few holes in that logic, but the main problem is I'm a stalker. Retired, but can easily lace up my sneakers and get back into game. So I agree to sharing locations because, you know, bears. And after about a week, I'm not checking it a ton because Canada just looks like a big green blob on my phone. It's boring. But I want to know what time he'll be home. So I start checking and refreshing and checking, just very chill, like not stalking, checking, refreshing. And I see that they are just north of Seattle in Arlington, Washington, at this place called Your Fantasy Espresso. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the letters You Are Fantasy Espresso. Great name. Great name. Now I support women. I support women who work corporate jobs. I support women who want to make a chai tea latte in their panties. And maybe this coffee shop is the #1 rated coffee shop in Arlington, Washington. So he had to go there. But I've seen my boyfriend drink 2-day-old coffee that's been sitting out on the counter, so he don't need to go there. Now, if you're not familiar with Your Fantasy and you haven't been there, you don't support women. No, just kidding. It's like a bikini barista. And if you don't know what that is, it's like if Dutch Brothers and Spirit Halloween had a sexy baby that we totally support. So I just started to do some very like chill, nonchalant, progressive, liberal girl research. And did you know that there are 4 Starbucks, a Boulevard Espresso, a Sunrise Espresso, and an Insomnia Coffee all within a ½ mile of Your Fantasy? Not to mention the Wyndham Garden Inn, where he stayed the night prior, serves a free continental breakfast that he chose not to partake in. I chose. So I start to have this internal conflict. I'm like, Hannah, you're wiser now. Do you really care if your boyfriend got coffee from a 20-something in her underwear this morning? And then I'm like, he's never asked me to make him coffee in my underwear. You know, if every morning he was like, babe, get up, put your thong on, make me some coffee. Can't go to work without my thong coffee. Not have my thong coffee or I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm asleep. Then I'd be like, I get it. Men have needs. Get your thong coffee. But he's never done that. So I think, what to do? What does any super chill girlfriend do? So I ran to the mall, bought some lingerie, came back home, brewed some coffee, put on the lingerie, and waited by the door holding the coffee. And then when he came in, I said, here's your fantasy, bitch. He told me that we should stop sharing locations immediately. No, but he's really cool. He's a good guy. Recently, I've been hearing a lot about like the love languages, the 5 love languages. Are you guys familiar with this? Yeah. I'm not going to name them because I don't actually know them, but there's 5. And I asked him, "What's your love language?" And he told me it's quality time. And then I'm like, and he asked me mine, and I'm like, it's gifts and services. And then it's the truth, you know, be honest. And then I hear on a podcast that you give the love language that you want to receive. So, like, for instance, I'm always, like, buying him little presents and rubbing his feet and microwaving his dinner, you know, sweet things like that. And because his is quality time, he's always just there. Hanging out. He's right there. So that's good. No, he's pretty awesome, though. He's really supportive. We've had kind of a tough year because I have cancer. Just like everybody else. No, and I get it. Cancer is scary, so you might feel bad for me. But what you don't know about me is that I love when people feel bad for me. Like, everyone's just so much nicer to me now. It's like I have all the friends and family I always wanted and felt like I deserved, but now I have it. And so I'm just going to kind of go through a list of why my life's improved with this diagnosis. The first one is my friends are way nicer. Like, we have group chats, and we have one on Instagram, and everyone's just sending memes, you know, trying to be the funniest. And before, like, a meme I'd send would probably get, like, just a thumbs up. But now I'm hilarious. I even tested it. One of my girlfriends sent a meme like a week ago, 0 response. I resent that same meme and everyone replied, ha 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 ha. I'm like, this is great. This is amazing. Cancer wins. Like, we're winning. No, but I've just really tried to like lean in on how cancer can work for me. So the other day I was watching TV and I wanted to watch something on Showtime. And I don't have Showtime because I'm not Warren Buffett, okay? So I text my friends, and I'm like, hey, does anyone have a Showtime password that I can use? P.S. I have cancer. And then I got a password. It just appeared. It was amazing. So there's a few cool things. Another cool thing is that my chemotherapy medication sponsors the show Survivor. And as a big Survivor fan, I just think that's really cool that they're like an ally, you know? It's 44 seasons. Don't sleep on Survivor. Still good. Yeah, shout out to Survivor heads. Oh, another really cool thing. My boyfriend, he's like, please stop talking about me. But I won't, because I have cancer and I do what I want. Anyway. My boyfriend's always wanted kids, and I never really have, but I've always kind of just gone along with it because he's hot, he's kind of hot. And now with my new diagnosis, I can't have kids. So joke's on him. And he can't leave me because that would be like so rude. So another win for me. What else? Oh, I'm not just using my cancer to manipulate people into giving me things. I'm also using it to make people feel bad. I have to take like a handful of medication every morning and night for the rest of forever. And I was hanging out with a girlfriend the other day, and she's like, I have a headache. And I'm like, oh, do you want some Advil? And she's like, no, I don't like to take pills or anything non-organic in my body. And I feel this like warm tingle of opportunity. And so I'm like, oh, how sad for you. Well, some of us aren't as fortunate to have that option, are we? And then she felt really bad. And that made me feel really good. I've been trying to kind of create a shorthand for my friends so that I can tell them what I want easier, because I'm always just like giving out commands, and I want them to be able to understand them. And I don't have a ton of time because I'm always busy like eating cakes and opening gifts that people are sending me. So I've created this like text shorthand for my friends so they just know what I want, no questions asked. So I'll send them something like sandwich emoji, foot emoji, one emoji, down emoji, tombstone emoji, the red circle with the line through it emoji, brain emoji, and then a smiley face with the hands emoji. And that just means I want a sandwich and I have one foot in the grave. Don't forget, thanks. And then a sandwich appears. And it's the same thing just for my friends who are here. It's the same thing if I need a ride, it's just a car instead of a sandwich. Just you guys know that. No, but after all that, if you still feel bad for me because cancer is scary, I get it, but that's what I want. I want you to feel bad for me because that's how I control your mind. Okay? And pity equals gifts. And gifts are my love language. So I may be bald one day, but I'll be bald with a Birkin bag, goddammit. And lastly, to quote a great pirate from a great movie, look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now.
Anna Miller, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. You love that dress? Oh my God, if I wore that in Tennessee, it'd be a felony. Unbelievable. One more time for Hannah, it's so great. I saw something in Portland today, and Gary and I have been here 22 years. I saw something today I have never seen before. I saw a car with Washington plates going the correct way down a one-way street. Unbelievable. Anyone from Washington? I should ask before I do the joke. Keller. Keller is on the show tonight. I didn't know you were from Washington. No wonder you're late to class every time. Where, in Vancouver? Yeah, I shouldn't joke about Washington. I make a lot of money performing in Washington. One of my more memorable shows years ago in Richland, Washington, the Tri-Cities, I was doing my dog and cat material. A woman in the back yelled out, she had a lab. I said, what kind? She said, meth. And, but I will give it up to Washington voters. In 2012, Washington became the first state, and to this date, the only state, that approved both gay marriage and legalized pot on the same day in 2012. Which Washingtonians just realized people were reading the Bible and Leviticus wrong. It's if a man sleeps with a man, he should be stoned. So, I think you've had enough. That's our show. Our next performer is in my intermediate class, and he's just wonderful. He did an amazing job after the introductory class in fall quarter, did an incredible set, and he has designed and crafted an entirely new set tonight. He's so good. Please welcome Jeff Bell, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Bell!
Hey everybody, see a lot of smiles out there, which is great. Hoping it stays that way after this first bit, because I have to get something off my chest. I'm not wearing green today. I don't think you can pinch the performers. Somebody check with Patrick. No, that's not the main thing I need to get off my chest. I don't really care for people with Down syndrome. I know how that sounds. It needs quick and immediate clarification. As someone with cerebral palsy, I don't care for people with Down syndrome because all my life, they got all of the attention. Nobody gives a shit about cerebral palsy. If you see me walking down the street, you think, something's wrong. Maybe he's just drunk. And you'd be right like a third of the time. That's not the point, though. You see someone with Down syndrome, and you know what it is, and you assume that they're charming and funny and generally happy, because they probably are. They've been spoiled their entire lives. While they were getting free trips to Disneyland, the best thing I ever got was an extra token for the Tilt-A-Whirl at Oaks Park. So, let me repeat, the rundown amusement park in Southeast Portland gave me an extra ride on their worst attraction. Thank you, Oaks Park, for recognizing people with cerebral palsy. I went to have surgery once downtown at a hospital called Shriners, and the place was absolutely buzzing because we were told the following day Cuba Gooding Jr. was coming in for a meet and greet. This was his heyday, late 90s, and the next day arrives, and he had gone next door to Dornbecker Children's Hospital, specifically the Down Syndrome Clinic. It was very disappointing. It was made even worse by the fact that they sent us a replacement celebrity, freaking Army Hammer. Which, even at a young age, I thought it was very odd that he was only trying to talk to the little girls in the room. Very bizarre. Strange dude. Do I sound bitter? That's what I'm going for here. I am. We had a couple kids in elementary school who had Down syndrome, and every single year we'd throw them a fundraiser to send them and their families on these lavish vacations. But they didn't forget about me. One time they built an extra hand railing on one of the staircases, and they named it after me. It's the Jeff Bell Not Really Necessary Hand Railing. Because it was only 3 stairs. If you're picturing a very unathletic young boy, you have me pegged exactly. Despite that, I was a huge sports fan growing up. Tried out for the high school basketball team, and I made it. And I think it was kind of a Make-A-Wish situation, if I'm being honest. I looked it up later, and if you help grant a Make-A-Wish, you get a sizable tax deduction. So I somehow made the basketball team, and the teachers somehow had a new lounge in the spring. You do the math on that one. But I loved my time playing high school basketball. I never got to play, of course, until the very last game of the year. We were up by 20 points late in the game, and I thought, this is my chance. And the coach actually called a timeout and pointed to the end of the bench to the kid next to me who had Down syndrome. He got all the glory, and I'm still kind of upset because, to be frank with you all, I whooped his ass in practice every day that year. So I did see him actually dunk once, though. So have you ever seen someone with Down syndrome dunk a basketball? It was very impressive. Maybe he deserved it. Although, for us cerebral palsy people, we actually did have a pro athlete a few years back in the famously cool sport of golf. That was pretty neat. None of this deterred my love of sports, though, which took me to the University of Oregon. Always been a big Ducks fan, and I lived in Eugene for 4 years. And let me be honest with you, Eugene's great. I love it. I think it's very underrated and it gets a bad rap. There's lots of cool stuff to do. For example, there is a sandwich shop, we lived right next to it, where the sizes of the sandwiches are just forms of smoking weed. So if you go order the Turkey Club Blunt, that was my favorite. Shout out to Chiba Hut, and this is true, it's located on High Street. So, pretty cool. Where else also can you be literally like 1 hour from the scenic Oregon coast and like 1 block at any given time from someone on mushrooms trying to convince you that Trump and Biden are the same person and that geckos are controlling our minds. Yeah, Eugene's a very interesting place. Had a great time there. One thing you won't see much of in Eugene, though, is churches. And I was reminded of this driving by a church the other day. It had a big sign out front, the kind that normally have Bible verses and potluck information for some reason, although this one only had 3 words. It just said, real, relational, and raw on a church sign. I thought, if something successfully works as a search on a porn site, I don't know if it belongs on the church sign. It might have been on brand for them, but we won't go there. We won't go there. If I was going to the strip club and I saw that same sign, I would honestly think, that's a bit much. That's a bit much. Before still going inside, of course. Unless my girlfriend was stalking me, and then I would go to the coffee shop where I said I would be. I sometimes wonder if other businesses worry about having risque signs, like if you had a grocery store that put up a sign that said, we have a fresh new salad bar, and we'll give yours the best toss ever. I don't know. I would be first in line, but I don't know about anybody else. Weird signs on the office, though. Not something I have to worry about because I work from home, so my office is just the bedroom. Although, I take that back. There was a sign put up recently on the door. It just says, Jeff, you sleep on the couch now, remember? My girlfriend is so funny. We're madly in love. We love the company we work for. We've both been there about 8 years. It's very progressive and inclusive. Sometimes I think they take that a little too far. My whole life I've used terms when addressing groups of people like ladies and gentlemen, or you guys, and they wanted us to stray away from gendered language. And let me be very clear, totally on board with that. Anything that makes people feel more comfortable in the workplace is a worthwhile pursuit. However, the list of terms that HR gave us to use instead, I'll let you be the judge of. At the very top of the list was peeps. Next was homies. And a little further down, just to really hammer home that it was written by a white person, playas. I'm not sure if we solved the problem there. Of course, the very next meeting, I addressed everybody and said, well, hey, all you peeps, homies, and playas out there. Sounds very natural coming from me, right? We had an email from HR by the end of the meeting saying, let's just use y'all, which works a lot better. And if you think about it, kind of ironic that the South had this one worked out before the rest of us. Like I said, though, I love the company I work for. Even when we were back in the office, I never felt judged, despite the fact that when I walk, I kind of look like a puppet with a couple strings broken. And I started writing a memoir. It's titled Pinocchio, Geppetto Fucked Up. But my walk is something that's very obvious about my cerebral palsy. There are other things that aren't as obvious. For example, I have a very interesting relationship with my left hand. And not in the way that that might imply. I know what you're thinking. But my left hand, for example, is pretty scared to be within 10 feet of a Rubik's Cube. If you ask my left hand to solve a Rubik's Cube, it would be about as successful as inviting a blind person to go bird watching with you. Just wouldn't happen. And I don't know how to explain this next one, but my left hand is dumb. And I'll give you an example. When you're first learning to count in like kindergarten, you use your hands and you count on your fingers. 1, 2, 3. Well, this asshole cannot even do that, the notoriously difficult task of counting to 5. But we've been practicing, so tonight in front of all of you, I'm going to try and do something really cool. I'm going to count to 5 with my left hand. And so we'll start at 1 here. 1. Yeah, that's what happens every time. Someday we'll figure that one out. But having the disadvantages of having like an essentially defunct left hand, they don't stop there. I once tried to masturbate with my left hand, and it took me 90 minutes. And of course my girlfriend's going, 90 minutes? Must be nice. Where's that energy? But that's not the objective of a solo mission, right? And this is back when I had a Pornhub Pro account. So we're talking all the premium categories. They actually had a category for cerebral palsy, which, okay, it may sound weird to some of you, but for me, it was like looking in a goofy sex mirror. I told my mom to put on earmuffs during that bit, and I don't think she did, so that's going to be interesting later. Doctors told me very early on that as I got older, I would need to make more of an effort to move around more, because it would be a little bit harder. And so like many other people, came up with some New Year's resolutions this year, went and had a great workout on the first day of the year, and I celebrated with 4 happy hour margaritas and a chimichanga. It's pretty cool. We're happy about this because my first resolution, more chimichangas. So off to a good start. Of course, my main resolution was to shave off a few pounds. So my girlfriend and I came up with a system where every morning we didn't wake up to work out, we would put money in our laziness jar. And it's only been 3 months, and I have maxed out 3 credit cards. I've missed 2 car payments. I started shopping at the Dollar Tree. And I hate to admit this in front of a Portland crowd, but the last time I went to a restaurant, I only tipped 13%. I might as well wear a scarlet letter right now. But none of those are even the worst. The worst is actually kind of serious. My girlfriend kicked me out a couple days ago, and so I'm here tonight to tell you that I don't really have anywhere else to go. If anybody has a couch, I'm looking. I'll even supply my own blankets. I found this brand new roll of paper towels behind Plaid Pantry for my blanket. It's going to be great. I don't want to oppose. I know you're probably thinking, why don't you just take the money out of the laziness jar? And I have to admit a little white lie. The laziness jar is more of a metaphor. We actually set up the money to go as an auto donation. I think you might know where this is going at this point. It goes as an auto donation to a very wonderful, near and dear to my heart clinic downtown at Dornbecker Children's Hospital. Yeah, it's those goddamn kids with Down syndrome again. Thank you very much.
The bell, ladies and gentlemen. All different points of view on the comedy stage. That's what it's about. Jeff Bell, ladies and gentlemen. Life experiences. One of the reasons I love living in Portland, there's no, all this attack on diversity. Diversity is great. I wouldn't live in a place that wasn't diverse, right? Thanks for that. Thank you. That was, yeah. Our dry cleaner, Mrs. Lee, is from Korea. She's the funniest person I know. Her English is okay, but she always manages to get the point. I took in a pair of jeans a few years ago that had a red stain right here, and you're supposed to point out the stains. And she goes, "Is it a lipstick?" We used to go to Portland Beavers games when they played here, and early on they brought a group of Native Americans to sing the national anthem in the native language, and they got the words mixed up and the game was rained out. But it was, it was all right. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I saw, this is Portland, I saw a bulldog in transition the other day. I thought that was good. In 6 weeks, he'll be a pug. So, thank you. You're the only ones laughing at that hysterically. Thank you. Appreciate it. Do you have a pug or a bulldog? No. It's just, you're like bobbleheads. Anything is funny tonight. I love it. Well, I'm really pleased to bring up our next performer. She is, I love people from Alaska. Has anyone met anyone from Alaska? They're just so free and fun, and she's great. She's extremely funny, been a bright light in our class. Please welcome Ann Lindsley. Ladies and gentlemen, Ann Lindsley.
I'm from a really small town in Alaska. The town is so small that the DMV closes for a month during goose hunting season. We don't have active shooter drills in high school. We have morning announcements that remind us to take our hunting rifles out of our car. And then they announce again at lunch, and they're like, "Hey Woody, we still see that your hunting rifle's in your truck. Please drive home and leave it there." I managed to sleep with 2/3 of the senior class. It wasn't a train, it was just a locomotive and a caboose. It's a very small town. So I moved to the big city, and I'm here now. I work in tech. You might be thinking I'm a diversity hire, I'm a senior engineering manager. You'd be wrong, I'm incredibly good at my job. However, I think I might be a personality hire. I work with a bunch of people from New York. It's a New York-based company. And while my colleagues think I'm really weird, my favorite thing to do with my PTO is take a week-long family whitewater rafting trip. And they had a bunch of questions about this. They're like, your favorite thing to do is to go hang out and talk to no one but your family. You have to poop in an ammo can and carry it with you. And this is what you want to do with all your time off. I'm like, yep, I love not being where you can reach me. I do work remotely though, and sometimes that gets pretty lonely. I miss having people around. Luckily, my boyfriend also works remotely. And sometimes we role play. One of us will go out and get donuts. Another person will go, "Oh, you got donuts?" And then we'll get out the butter knife and cut the donuts into eighths. And leave them on the counter for 5 days until they get too stale, and then one of us will throw them out. If you can't tell, I have teacher pet energy. I have a bunch of friends here tonight, and they're like, "Do you want to sit with us?" I was like, "No, you're not in the front row. I need to be there." Every single report card I ever got said I was a pleasure to have in class. Authority loves me. This is not true for my mother. She is an absolute menace. Her report card said she had verbal diarrhea. I don't get into arguments with my mom anymore. Whenever I get into an argument with her, what she does is she goes and thoroughly researches it. She'll send me 20 academic journal articles, and I will have to read them to rebut her. I'm not getting a JSTOR subscription to win. When my sister got engaged, my mom had a ranch and slaughtered a cow to give to my sister's future husband. My feedback on this was like, we don't need to give Kate a dowry. She'll earn her keep. We had the beef at the wedding. It was great. When my mom got married the second time, she eloped in the Sierra Nevadas, wearing an all-white leather jumpsuit, hot pink boots with rhinestones, a hot pink helmet with a veil streaming off the back, on her pink motorcycle. I found out via email. When we were really little, she's always been like this. I was 6 years old, And we had taken the grand journey down to visit my grandparents in Florida, where all grandparents live. And we went to their retirement community and their local farmers market. Also, we went to Disneyland and Nickelodeon Studios, but farmers market was the highlight. I was destined to live in Portland. And there were the cutest mini pigs. And my sister and I had the best time playing with the little mini pigs, petting the mini pigs. And an old man comes up and shoulder taps my mother. He's like, I can get one of those for 20 bucks. My mom's intrigued. She's like, this seems like a great way to entertain my small children. So she says, sure. We follow him for an hour to his rural farm. He goes and he grabs a cute little piglet out of the pig pen. We shove him in a dog carrier in the back of our truck. We drive it home to my grandparents' retirement community. We're washing the pig off because it's covered in its own excrement and it smells horrible before we take it on the plane back up to Alaska. As we're washing it, somehow the pig breaks free and starts running across this retirement community, over the hills, through the pools, jumping golf carts. And my mother and I take off after it. We send my sister in, who's 4, to go tell the grown-ups that we have taken off after the pig and we'll be late for dinner. She goes in and tells the adults, the pig loose. They don't understand what she's saying, they give her a cookie. My mom and I continue chasing this pig. And we're not making grounds on it. I'm 6. She doesn't run. And we encounter a group training for a triathlon. So they have bikes, they're runners, they're swimmers, they can catch it, and they start chasing after it for their training. We chase that pig for another 3 hours and it gets dark. We decide to go inside. My mother makes peace with the fact the pig's not coming home. The next day, the triathletes go out again. They're ready. They have better bikes. They catch it. They call my mom. They're like, hey, we got your pig. You want it back? I was like, no, that was worth 20 bucks. So a few years ago, I get a call from my mom. She's up in Alaska still. And she's like, hey, I have to come down to Portland for ear surgery. And she's like, would you mind taking me? If not, no big deal. I can take a lift, but if you can give me a ride, I'd love it. And I'm working my first job in tech, and I have benefits where I can take the day off and give my mom a ride to the doctors. So I said, yeah, no problem. I got you. I'll give you a ride. And she's like, it's not going to be a big deal. It's just simple in-out procedure. I said, great. We'll have fun. So it's the night before the surgery, and she is now in Portland. We're out for dinner. I have a new boyfriend. And he is trying to make a very good impression on my mother. He's buying us our dinner. He's saying, hey, if you need anything tomorrow, anything at all, just give me a call. And Mom's like, we're not going to need anything. It's just an in-out procedure. If you're suspicious, you should be. So the next morning I pick her up. She has 5 bags with her for the simple in-out procedure and a dog. The dog was never talked about. So she loads up in my car with all her bags and her dog. We start driving to the surgery center. I hear the dog in the back seat going. I'm like, that's not a normal sound. I become increasingly aware the dog's chewing on my car. I'm like, Mom, can you check on that? And she's like, it's fine, the dog's eating kibble. I'm like, I don't think kibble makes a sound. I'm like, can you please just check? And she was like, fine, looks up on her phone, over her shoulder, goes, oh shit, and starts crawling into my back seat because I drive a very large truck. And I'm like, suddenly concerned because she's wedged herself in my back seat. I'm like, what happened? What happened? She pops back up with an empty container of edibles. And I go, was that full? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, how much was in that? And she's like, 50 milligrams. Oh, I immediately pull over. I shove my whole entire arm down the dog's throat. I am trying desperately to make this animal puke. The dog has also gotten into her Sensodyne toothpaste and smeared all of that over my back seat, so I'm covered in deep throat dog slobber, Sensodyne toothpaste, and brownie crumbs. And still, no vomit. So I load the dog back up in the car. I was like, you can just drop me off at the front. It's a simple in-out procedure, and then bring her to the vet. So I do. I drop her off. I say, please rate me 5 stars. Continue on. So I am pulled over in the parking lot, quickly looking at all possible vets within the 5-mile radius. I'm calling the vets. They're trying to do the standard triage of, has your dog been here before? Are they spayed? What's their astrological sign? And I'm like, ma'am, simple yes, no question. Can you make a dog vomit right now? Also, obviously, a Taurus. I find one that agrees to make the dog vomit with very few questions. I go drop the dog off. There, I'm like, can we make it fast, in, out, quick vomit? And they're like, probably all day. Drive back to the hospital to catch my mom in her simple in-out procedure. I walk in. She's in a full surgical gown. The anesthesiologist is there. She's going under for a 4-hour procedure. I asked the doctor just really casually, super chill. I'm like, what's the aftercare like on this? 3 days of constant supervision. She'll have vertigo and won't be able to walk. Right? My roommates are gonna love this. So I wish my mom the best of luck, although she has no role in this anymore. I go out and wait in the waiting room. I'm calling the vet for updates. I'm calling the doctor for updates. The vet checks in. I'm like, hey, how's the dog doing? And they're like, she's super high in the back. We have her listening to Pink Floyd and she's working on her macrame. My mom gets out of surgery after 3 hours. I get to go in and see her. Her head is wrapped. She has packing out to here over her ear. She looks like she fought in World War II and didn't do well. I keep her for an hour. I call the vet again just on the off chance I can pick her up real quick. So no. They're like, come back in 3 hours. Problem for future Ann. Load my mom in the car. We are driving home. She's like, we need to stop at the grocery store. I look her up and down. We don't need to stop at the grocery store. You can't walk. She's like, no, we need to go to New Seasons. You have no food. I'm like, I have food. I got this. And she's like, no. And I was like, I'll go grocery shopping after I bring you home, thinking I can mislead her, get some Instacart. She's like, no, there's a New Seasons right there. I'm like, you know this. You don't live in this town. And I drive on by. And she's like, there's another New Seasons in 3 blocks. I'm like, of course there is. This is Portland. So going back to one of my original points, I don't argue with my mother anymore. She wants New Seasons. We're going to New Seasons. And we pull in. I get her a shopping cart so she can hold onto the shopping cart like it's a walker. She's walking up and down every single aisle, swatting items in like she's a cat on the internet. The cart is absolutely full to the brim. We check out. We go home. Henry calls. He's like, hey, how'd it go? Is everything okay? And I'm like, oh, thank God. You need to drive in rush hour traffic, go pick up a dog from the vet. They will lecture you. The dog's very high. Also, you need to stop at the weed shop on the way home. Thank you so much. Thank you all. It's been wonderful.
Aaron Lindsley, ladies and gentlemen. There goes Ann's dad. Yeah, thanks for coming. Wow. How are you doing so far? Good? We're getting your money's worth. I love teaching this class. Gary will tell you I'm very happy when I come home after my Monday and Thursday classes, and I'm very nostalgic about comedy right now. Actually, this is my 43rd year of comedy, and I'm thinking back. You know, I was on Alan Thicke show, Thick of the Night, every week, and Alan passed away suddenly. I was on Joan Rivers' show every month, and Joan passed away suddenly. I kind of wish I'd been on The Apprentice, actually. waiting for that first indictment next week. It'll be fun. I think the only question is when Trump's indicted, will he be tried as an adult? I think that's the real question. I made it work for me where I could. I was performing in Medford in 2016, and I was eating, very nice people, I was eating at a diner, I had breakfast, and the waitress had a big Make America Great Trump button on, which is fine. And so I ate my breakfast, and she came and she gave me the check, and I gave her back the check, and I told her Mexico would pay for it. So I ate free for 4 years. He's the biggest scam artist, though, isn't he? It's like, has anyone done the 23andMe? Have you done that? The DNA? Trump has a thing now called Me. It's like, you send in your DNA, he sends back information on himself. It's just amazing. I had a radio show for 10 years in Portland, and the first 6 years on KPOJ. It was my dream job because it was political progressive radio in Portland. And everyone said to me, oh, so easy to be a liberal in Portland, so easy. Well, I'm telling you, it's not easy to be a liberal in Portland, Oregon. I'll give you an example. After 6 years on KPOJ, Clear Channel flipped the station from progressive talk to syndicated sports. It was devastating. Gary remembers the day I came home. It was 3 days after the election in 2012. It was my dream job. I'd just been laid off. I couldn't even think straight. I drove home, and I was so bereft. I drove car into the garage. I shut the garage door. I kept the car running for about 20 minutes. But I'm just going to end it. And after 20 minutes, I realized I have an electric car. So not easy. Our next, that's Na, by the way. Na is on tomorrow night. She's one of our gifted students and performers. Come, not tomorrow, Sunday. I don't know why I'm here tomorrow.
I said that in a really high voice then.
Yeah. So Na will be on, and John's here. We got great performers on Sunday night. Come back again. Line up early at 7 o'clock. Our next performer is a longtime friend of mine. We share a great love of baseball and history and politics. In fact, he's so smart, I actually asked him several times to guest host my radio show when I was out of town. It turns out he's funny, too. Please welcome Dylan Heights, ladies and gentlemen. Dylan!
Hey, I gotta tell you, I'm on a bit of a high right now. I'm feeling really good, and I think I know why. I had the chance today to shop at Winco Foods. Now I know that's not something most people brag about. It's kind of like bragging about going to the laundromat or hanging out at the unemployment office, but I am a huge fan of Winco Foods. It is a great option if you feel like Walmart may be too fancy for you that day and you want to dress down a bit. Winco offers the absolute lowest prices of any store, and when you undertake the Winco shopping experience, you understand how to make it possible. They don't engage in frills like basic janitorial services or working lights or pest control or even fresh food. They cut those corners and pass those savings right on to you. Also, what I love about Winco is you're guaranteed an upper body workout every time you go there, which is great for someone like me who skips arm day every day. I say that because they don't have a shopping cart there that was made after 1975. And you got two options. Option A is the shopping cart that steers to the left like a son of a bitch, and you're going to try to avoid hitting shelves, end caps, and children the whole time. Or option B is the one with the wheel that hasn't rotated since Y2K, and you're going to realize halfway through this trip it's just going to be easier to pull that fucker through the thing. I don't want to mislead you. It's not all roses at Winco. There are some downsides, and one of that is the free samples. And some of you might be thinking, what are you talking about, Dylan? Free samples are fantastic. No, you're thinking of Costco free samples, where you go from the potato and cheese pierogi line and race over to the caramelized onions ravioli. No, this is not that. You have one station, and it's giving out something you don't want. Last time I was there, it was Little Debbie Snap Cakes. And I think these things are so old that Little Debbie had hit puberty, and they were cut to about the size of half a sugar cube, and the poor soul behind the counter that had to give these things away. The shame on his face that could only be associated with handing out food of that quality. But that wasn't the saddest thing about Winco. The saddest thing was Winco apparel. Are you guys aware of this? that there are people out there that love Winco so much they can wear a shirt that says, I heart Winco out of the store. You can do it. And the shirt is exactly the quality that you would expect from a Winco shirt. Comes in one color, white. Comes in one size, extra large, of course. And the shirt is so thin that you can actually read the 10th shirt on the rack through the first 9 shirts on the rack. I think there may be one use for this shirt, which would be a wet t-shirt contest, if I didn't think that it would instantly dissolve the minute moisture touched it at any time. So, I am brand new to stand-up comedy. This is my first time ever doing it. You may have guessed that from the price on your ticket tonight. So those of you who are here to support a loved one or a family member, thank you. To the rest of you, congratulations on finding the absolute cheapest entertainment on St. Patrick's Day. As a stand-up comedian, it's really important to identify what your strengths are. And I noticed pretty early on that my strength, I think, is transitions. That's where you take the audience from one topic seamlessly to another topic and you don't even notice that you've done it. Yeah, that's me. So women's periods, right? What is it about women's periods where women just seem to lose any sense of the bell curve? And what I mean by that is, every time in my 44 years of life that I've heard a woman discuss her period, it's usually in terms, usually reserved for biblical catastrophes, tidal waves of flowage, clots raining down like giant hailstones, earth-shaking levels of pain. I haven't heard any parting of the Red Seas references, but they can't be far off. How can every period be between severe and near-death experience? Now, I've been watching tampon commercials since I was 5 years old. I was promised women with mild to moderate cramping and a little bit of leakage. I mean, I guess I shouldn't have expected too much honesty from a commercial that depicts a woman's period as refreshing blue raspberry Kool-Aid being poured onto a white napkin. Anyways, I was just wondering where these women are. I mean, wherever they are, I'm sure they are quite pleasant. I did want to share with you tonight that I am white. Please don't clap for that. You're going to do a lot of clapping around here. I share my color with you for those of you who are visually impaired or forget what city you find yourself in. I do want to let you know that even though there's a lot of white people, some of us actually do come from places of rich cultural diversity, real melting pots where they have learned to identify with other people than themselves. That unfortunately is not me. I grew up in a tiny little town that was 100% white, and it was called Canyon City. And it was so small, my parents decided that it wasn't small enough. And we had to move to Prairie City from Canyon City. Prairie City was basically Canyon City without the stoplight. And it was hard for all of us, but you know who it was really hard for were the cops. I mean, cops in an all-white town, who do they beat? I haven't felt that bad for a group of people until I heard that Catholic priests and Boy Scout masters had to transition from in-person instruction to online learning. Poor folks. So recently my brother was in a pretty serious car crash, and I had to break the news to my daughter, my young daughter, and I told her that what happened to her uncle was that he was in a vehicle that rolled 5 times. And the worst part about the crash is that the window was rolled down. So every time the vehicle rolled, it would slap his face on the pavement and drag it. So the injuries were pretty severe. And she looked up at me and said, "Daddy, why would anybody roll their window down during a car crash?" And I was prepared for a lot of questions after that. That was not one that I was prepared for. But my daughter's actually fantastic. She's great. She's at that stage where she's in gymnastics where it's, "Daddy, watch this, watch this." So every cartwheel, every handspring, I've got to be there to watch. Which is fine. So we go to her gymnastics class every Wednesday, and I sit in the little parental viewing area in bleachers, and we all watch the girls in the class. It's fine. Well, we recently went to a new facility. And on the way there, she says, "Daddy, will you watch the class?" I'm like, "Of course. Every class. I watch every minute of it." And then we get to the new studio and I realize this one is not like the other studios. There's no parental viewing area. What there is a 2-foot by 2-foot plexiglass window that separates the girls in the studio and the drop-off area. And I realize I have now committed to being the world's creepiest man next to the world's creepiest window, watching a group of 10-year-olds in leotards stretch and bend and twist. And I'm next to this window, steaming it up with sweat pouring off of my face. With every mother, it's only moms, no dads, I'm in, every mother dropping off their child, wondering if I'm there to watch their daughter, wondering if I even have a child in there, if I just wandered in off the street. Waiting for Chris Hansen and Dateline NBC crew to wander with some cameras. It wasn't my fault. You know, I don't think I helped anything by wearing my mostly see-through, baggy Winco brand t-shirt that day. So I'm in my 40s now, back on the dating scene. So basically that means you're back on the apps. The one piece of advice I will give to you is do not do Facebook dating if you go on the apps. It's basically the Winco of apps. And while I'm a big believer in cheap deals, some areas of life you don't want the cheapest option. And dating is one of those. But recently I went on a date with a woman and it was going great. We had dinner and we're laughing and we're talking and she says to me, hey, why don't we go back to my place? I'm like, hell yeah, sounds great, let's go. We head back to her place, and one thing leads to another as it does, and she says to me, shh, don't wake up my grandson. I don't know how that would hit you, but don't wake up my grandson. I've never felt older than I did in that minute. And last time I was dating, it was, don't wake up my parents, and now it's don't wake up my grandson. I think I missed a really great stage in between there somewhere. And for the record, I'm pretty sure we woke up that grandson. All right, thanks, have a good night.
Dylan Heights, ladies and gentlemen. Dylan! All right, keep it going for everybody so far. We're chugging along. I remind you that there's still some slots open for the introductory class. It begins tomorrow, doesn't it? I'll be here tomorrow, evidently I've said that. So just show up fucking tomorrow. It begins April 17th, and it's so much fun. It really is. And we got a special class for our favorite group of people, those with Down syndrome. And if you act within the next week, you get 20% off if you're a former employee of Silicon Valley Bank. So that's also a really good deal for you. After the show, this is what we do. The students come up and there's a little Q&A if you want to know about the class, because I think they want to tell you how good it was, and you're seeing how good it was tonight, right? Come on stage. I love everybody. I especially love this guy. He's from a different country than the United States, which is, you know, a feather in anyone's cap, really. I love it. Please welcome Napoleon Benito, ladies and gentlemen. Napoleon!
Wow, hello everyone. Top of morning to ya, right? Happy St. Patrick's Day. Just so you know, I am not Irish. I, in fact, am Canadian and Filipino. Again, my name is Napoleon Benito. But yeah, Canadian and Filipino, which makes me a Canuckapino. The Canadian side of me gives me inherent powers to play hockey. I also am really good at having sex in a canoe. And my penis is measured in centimeters. Young boys all over the country start off in double digits. That's right. 10 10 centimeters. Did I say 10? I meant 20. 20 centimeters of pleasure. It's not true. I'm Asian. Okay. But what is it with the obsession with just that one dimension when talking about penis size? It's like the coveted thing of having a foot long. I have a 12-inch dick. But can you imagine that same 12-inch dick being only pencil thin and never gets hard? Disturbing. Someone said, hey, yeah, I got a 12-inch dick. Oh, why don't you whip it out? It's like, yeah, I'll whip it out. Literally whip it out. I'm gonna go whack the weeds in the back. Anyway, now I got you thinking about my penis. I recently been divorced, and like other people have mentioned, found myself playing that field, and it's way different than it was back in the day. Now I'm 50 plus, I'll just say that. But man, it's changed since I was in my 20s, my 30s. It's no more just sending notes to girls saying, do you A, want to go out? B, want to go out with me? Yeah, I didn't date much in my 20s. Yeah, it's way different. It's it's all apps now, right? And when you go to the apps, you'll notice it's you have your eHarmony, your Match.com, your OkCupid, Grindr, Tinder. But when I was going through that, couldn't help but notice it's really aimed for younger people. Hard to compete with those guys with the chiseled jaws and the six-pack abs. So, and it's fine, I guess, if you're looking for someone younger, maybe looking for a sugar daddy, brown sugar daddy, Canadian maple brown sugar daddy. There's no such thing as rich Canadians. It's just a myth. Yeah, so I thought it'd be nice, I look for something more age appropriate. So looking online, browsing all the different dating apps, came across this one called Our Time. Our Time. So nice, right? It's like, we've both lived a long life. We have kids, we've dedicated all this time, and now it's time for us to reclaim our time. I wish there was more honesty to it. Perhaps a site called Out of Time. Or Time's Up. Or Last Call. Wow, my voice just broke there. Puberty setting in, I'm just getting some water. So, last call. There's got to be something to accommodate hookup culture. Maybe in my 50s, but still like to fuck. Love to fuck. So, you could probably add on more to the different sites. One could be like, Wrinkled and Randy. Or how about One More in Ya? Or my personal favorite, Dry Bones. Yeah? Whatever the site would be called, it'd have extra large font to accommodate, to make everything would have to be more readable. There'd be ads for incontinence diapers. And you'd be encouraged to download those apps to help keep your memory sharp. But yeah, the funny thing about these sites is that they, if you look, the profiles on there would probably be something like takes frequent naps. If you're looking for prospective partner, takes frequent naps. I'm really good at gumming. I could gum this banana for hours. Or involuntary role play. Because you forget a lot, including who you are at any given time. Anyway. So, all this high tech, we've all, we've come a long way with it, right? And, the funny thing is, you could be talking about anything, and we have listening devices, we're just texting all the time, and they're listening. There's this thing called the algorithm, you all may realize, and it has brought a lot of convenience to us, right? You'll notice that, I'm looking for a backpack. You'll start a discussion with all your friends, and say, hey, tell me what you think. And you get back to your computer, and lo and behold, ads for backpacks. It's like totally tailored for your needs. So it's great, convenient and everything. But there comes a point where the algorithm becomes really annoying, almost inappropriate. For instance, the other week, talking to my kiddos about, what it's like to, with all the suffering that we've had the past few years, it's kind of like, let's celebrate all the good things in life, right? You have people who are, helping others, ease the suffering of others, adopt stray animals. And so the other day, I was surfing online, and I was like, kind of bored. I think I want to look at some porn. And so there I was, just sort of surfing on the dry bone site. Click. This. To watch. Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm watching this video. And just getting into it, and suddenly there's an ad for, hey, this is Maya. She's 9, and she has a terminal illness. Please donate to St. Jude's Hospital, I'm like, oh. Followed by, adopt this stray puppy. He needs a home. It's like, oh, and then Sarah McLachlan comes on. I will remember you. Slowly. So much for that plan. The thing about porn, the thing about porn is that it is the one place, and we talked about this earlier, it is definitely one of those places where there's lots of diversity and inclusion. Sometimes there's up to 8 people included in one video. The one thing you can take away from porn, though, is that no matter what you are, what you look like on the outside, no matter what your outward appearance is, we are all universally and undeniably pink on the inside. All right, so I mentioned I'm Canadian and Filipino, which means I am the Asian persuasion from the north. Sounds cool, but I have to admit, growing up, it wasn't that easy. It was a little challenging at times. There are times, I was one of 3 visible minority families in the whole town of like tens of thousands of people. And so you really stood out like a sore thumb. But there are times when you just want to blend in. You didn't want to be singled out for your skin color or anything like that. And one time that reminds me of how hard it was growing up was in grade school, in my early acting career. We were doing a production of Alice in Wonderland, and I wanted to be, I was trying out for the part of one of the guards for the Queen of Hearts. And it was great. I was there with my friends, and we just went for it. Good thing for us, we got the part. So my teacher, little Scottish woman, she was like, oh, hey, Betty, you did very good. you're going to be the three of hearts. And Ashley, you will be the eight of hearts. And Napoleon, you will be the ace of spades. It's like, huh, okay. 2 years later, doing a production of Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. And I was going for a lead role. I wanted to see Mowgli, you know, the Indian boy brought up by wolves in the jungle. You know, so I studied and I really nailed down the songs and everything. And yeah, and so I went into that audition thinking I'm gonna get this part. And I walked into the gymnasium, parting the sea of all white students, got up on the stage, and the casting director at the time was like, "There's your Mowgli." Didn't say one thing, didn't sing one song. I was thinking, huh, what could it have been? What could make me stand up? Maybe he heard me practicing singing in the back room. I said, oh no, I got it. He must have seen my amazing performance as the Ace of Spades in Alice in Wonderland. Yeah. Where was I? So yeah, the Filipino side of me. For those of you not familiar with Filipinos, think a long time ago, the Spanish did their thing, conquering all the different islands in Southeast Asia, came across a bunch of natives, partied, raped and pillaged, and 9 months later, first Filipinos were born. It's kind of a simplistic version of it, I suppose. But yeah, for those of you who do have Filipino friends, you'll notice that there are certain qualities, or certain things that are very distinctly Filipinos. The way they talk, the accent. They substitute P's for F's and B's for V's. So, for instance, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Another thing you do is like to point with their lips. You know, hey, where's the bathroom? Over there. And the first thing uttered out of their mouths, if you ever gone to a Filipino house, the first thing they say isn't, hi, how are you? My name is, why don't you come in? And, it's always, have you eaten? Have you eaten yet? They want you to eat their food. Anyway, when you, I've already forgotten. Yes, sorry, so Filipinos, so Filipinos are considered Latino Asians, which means that we are really good at math, academics in general, we can dance, and we are good at the love making. So you think like, you think, oh, what great qualities, and very attractive, and for whatever reason though, I couldn't do it. I couldn't date Filipino women, and here's why. I blame the culture, because I'd be at an event, I'd see an attractive Filipino woman, and I'd be like, oh, who's that? I'd turn to my mom and say, Mom, who's that? She's like, oh, that's Kathy. She's going to be a nurse. Probably gonna be a nurse. And I'm like, oh yeah. She goes, oh, don't you remember? She's your cousin. She used to play with her when she was small. So the problem is that everyone is your cousin in the Philippines. And it's not, obviously not true, we're not actually cousins, but you get to know each other really well, that you start calling each other cousins and whatnot. And anyway, so I just wasn't interested. But I was interested in other cultures. I was interested in, French. That would be great, like, ooh la la. Hello, mon cher. Why don't you make love to me? Or, Irish. Is that the fuck you're looking for? Or Scots. Oh, something about the Scots. I don't know, maybe it was my grade 5 teacher who gave me the part of the Ace of Spades back in the day. But I have this thing for Scottish women, where I think it'd be great, it's fantasy, with the Scottish women say, hey, why don't you come and play in this golf course? All the areas around the holes are well groomed. I'm really good at caber tossing. And you've never seen anyone work the bagpipes like me. As compared to Filipino, now here's what it's like to have sex with a Filipino. Psst, uy. Have you eaten? Before we back, I will give you palatio. Is that okay, cousin? I love you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Benito! Napoleon Benito! Give it up for him, come on. All right, it's great stuff. We have 16 more comics, so. One more time for Napoleon, really good stuff. I have to, in the intermediate and advanced class, have to start telling my students, because they're good enough to go on the road, I have to tell them about the road, you know, what it's like. There's certain places that are difficult to play. I played all 50 states. Like the Deep South is tough. I was in Pamplona, Alabama for the running of the Rednecks, and they were gored by their sharp intellect. I was gored. Arkansas, though, that's a place you will see stuff you never see anywhere. I was in Arkansas, I saw a 12-year-old girl smoking right in front of her children. It was... I'm so proud of my students, aren't they great? They just, you know, what's amazing, the most amazing thing to me is 8 weeks ago, none of these performers spoke English. That's just amazing. Coming to the stage now, he's wonderful. I can't say enough about Nick because he's just great, and you're about to see why. And he's also performing, not tomorrow, but on Sunday. He gets to perform both nights. Please welcome Nick Altishin. Nick Altishin.
Hello, everyone. My name's Nick. I am gay. And that's why this microphone feels kind of small. Just saying. I wouldn't need lube, just fit. I'm not just gay, though. I'm also a faggot. I know that's a rough word. Like, there's a lot of pain and hatred involved in that word and all of hurt, you know. It's also literally the most efficient way to describe me, I would say. You know, people are like, why do you use that word? And I'm like, when you start wearing a harness and underwear, calling it a Power Rangers costume, it becomes required. You know, when you spent your last weekend in Vegas playing kickball, getting railed by 3 guys in your hotel room on ketamine, and you only ever learned one of their names. At that point, you have to start referring to yourself as a faggot, like, legally. The second I entered someone in the context of my phone, guy who fingered me on the dance floor, November 12th, ... Kyle? Question mark? The DMV just like showed up at my house and updated my driver's license for me. All gay men are named Kyle, by the way. Someone will be like, do you know my gay friend? His name's Kyle. And I was like, yes, I do. You know, but we're talking about like levels of gay here, right? There's like wearing cutoff shorts and drinking iced coffee in the winter. That's pretty basic. And then there's like meeting someone new at a party. He's really cute. He comes up to you. He says, hi, nice to meet you. How's your night going? And it's just like, you've been inside me before. But if you could remind me of your name, thank you so much. And it's kind of like, how did you know? How did I know that I wasn't just gay, but also a faggot? Well, I think it was when I went to a concert one night. It was a Norwegian pop diva. None of you will know who she is. Then my friends went out dancing because we were super sober. Then an after party, then a second after party. So it's 5 a.m., we're getting home. And we don't realize that we've accumulated glitter throughout the night, starting with the cheeks and going all the way down. And then you wake up the next morning and your bed looks like an employee from the Claire's accessory store at the mall just got fucking murdered. And you're like, this is gonna take longer for me to clear up the chlamydia. It's just awful. I am aware, I've been told there's a lot of straight people here tonight. Gross. No. I love straight people. Happy Patty's Day. It's your day. You know? I love straight people because they always ask me why I'm single, and it's a compliment. You know, they're always like, "You're so handsome. How are you single?" And it's so cute because straight people have never seen an attractive person before. You don't know what they look like. Gay people are so attractive. You know, like, I'm hot to straight people, I'm funny to gay people. Straight girls are like, your eyes are gorgeous. Straight guy or gay guys are like, you're a hoot. No, I love straight guys, they're so simple. And there's always a chance that deep down, they're a little bi. And I love straight women. I have befriended an English teacher or two in my day. So I really get y'all. My parents are straight, probably good for them. Yeah, they were always really cool, really supportive. I'm from the suburbs of Portland, they kind of have to be. They knew what to do with a gay son. I wouldn't say they knew what to do with a faggot son. You know, they embraced and supported my sexuality kind of the same way that you just automatically click that box accepting the terms and services agreement without actually reading through it. You know, they're going through like, so sorry, my pearl necklace just fell off my neck. That's so gay and embarrassing. You know, they were just reading through it being like, unconditional love. You have to see Wicked a few times. Like, that sounds great. They didn't realize that for the rest of their lives, they would have to, at a moment's notice, correctly rank every one of Cate Blanchett's Oscar-nominated performances. They never realized they'd have to learn about my favorite brand of poppers. So poppers are VHS cleaner that when you huff it through your nose gives you a head rush and it relaxes your asshole for seconds. And my favorite brand is Double Scorpio Rose Gold. I am so gay that my favorite brand of asshole relaxer is named after astrology and flavored rose gold. Okay, that's what we're dealing with here. I'm so gay that when I came out to my parents, their first response was, honey, we know and we love you. To which my response was, okay, wow, you're just like really stepping on my moment. It's just about me. No, great, I guess it could be about you and your unconditional love. So you heard how I knew body glitter, chlamydia, how they knew. I was playing t-ball, which is stupid. It's a stupid, stupid sport. The ball doesn't move. It is unhelpful. I'm not able to practice anything. My dad was coaching. It was very cute. Someone hit the ball because it's just fucking there. And then a kid caught it, which is like, what? They're 8. They don't catch the ball anyway. So no one knew what to do. Like, no one knew what to do in that situation. The other coach got to communicate their strategy to get the ball back to the base. I got out. I didn't understand. My dad had to come get me. I burst into tears because I was afraid that I had disappointed him. I was so sad at the idea of disappointing him. And as the story goes, according to him, he took me in a big hug and just thought to himself in that moment, you know what? Not that kind of kid. And 2 weeks later, he signed me up for my first drama class. Fast forward 25 years later, and my mother messaged me on Instagram about once a week saying, "Dear God, just please put on clothes. I don't care what you say, that is not a Power Rangers outfit." No, they're super cool. They were really happy because, like, my sister's a fairly traditional kid, although there was this weird period where everyone thought she was a lesbian because they didn't understand, like, feminism. But now she's married to a lovely man, so there's just really no way of knowing. By the way, straight weddings are wild. They're like gayer than gay weddings. There's always a bunch of just middle-aged, fabulous women dancing all night. There's a song about someone named Eileen, and it insists we keep coming on her. And for some reason, it's acceptable for a bunch of men to walk into the dark at one point to suck cigars. Meanwhile, I can't leave with the most curious-looking groomsmen to suck some dick. But now the stage is like, it's all about the baby talk. That's the next stage they're at. Everyone asking, when are you gonna have a baby? What's the plan? We were all at Sunday dinner, big family dinner, and just in the middle of the whole thing, someone was like, when are you gonna start trying? That's a really weird question. I'm sitting there being like, I also took 2 loads this morning, but you'd be uncomfortable if I brought that up over lasagna. Anyway, this has been a lot of fun. So tonight, while you're praying to St. Patty's Day, say a prayer for me and little Kyle Jr.
Nick Alderson, ladies and gentlemen. So good. So good. What's really amazing is Nick is straight, and do I teach or do I teach? Role play, role play. One more time for Nick. My husband has a lot of stories about growing up in South Dakota, Nick, so you can take notes. And I swear to God, Gary's high school mascot was the Irrigators. Imagine that cheer. Somehow, if I worked poppers into that joke, it'd be funny. I love this class. We have 2 more great performers for you. Stay with us, as they're just terrific. And this next act is she's great to follow, Nick, actually, and she's got the best perspective. All of these performers have a point of view. Isn't that great? That's what we like to start with. Your truth, your point of view. It's the easiest way to do comedy. Please welcome Hannah Michelotti. She's got a great POV. Hannah Michelotti.
So I am what is called a recovering godaholic. I was not raised this kind of Christian, or the ones that do the rhythmic gymnastics where they sit in the pews and then they eat the body of someone and drink their blood. Those are the Catholics. And according to my dad, the Catholic God is not the real God. I was raised this kind of Christian. If you could all please close your eyes for one moment as we gather in prayer tonight. Dear Heavenly Father, we lay our hands on this young man who's just joined our congregation. God, we ask you to speak to his heart. We know he made some mistakes in Las Vegas. God, we know Kyle loves women. God, we ask you to show Kyle the love, the truth that you have for him and bring him back to us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. That kind of Christian. When you're raised super Christian, you don't realize that you're necessarily in it. I was 4 years old when I was at VBS. There's a lot of terminology. Vacation Bible School. I was in the CLB, Church Ladies Basement. And she said, Hannah, do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior in your heart? As a 4-year-old, that's a lot of language I don't understand. And then she pulled out a troll pencil and I said, yes. So in 4th grade is when I kind of started to come up for water and realized some things were maybe different about me. And I learned 3 things. First, how to play the Oregon Trail. I'm excellent at fording the river. Second, that I was being groomed for a virgin bride afterlife with Jesus Christ, and my friends were not. And third and finally, God, who, I'll get back to that in a second, there's God, Jesus, a lot of people. He's supposed to be this awesome God who loves us and cares for us and kisses the the sex worker's feet. They did not have that word at the time in the Bible. And he loves on people and performs miracles. But let me tell you something. This God did not spare anyone from cholera or scarlet fever on the Oregon Trail, and I lost a lot of people and cattle because of that. Hey. So back to this God bit. So you got God, who is the Father, own entity. Then you have Jesus, who is his Son, own entity. And then you have the Holy Spirit, which is like Casper of Christianity. The best way I can explain it. And they are all independent of one another. They form the Holy Trinity, but they are also one being in the same. Not at all confusing. This was my first exposure to threesomes. So in 5th grade, things got really bad. Satan started publishing books. Lucifer, fallen angel called Satan, sank his claws into Bloomsbury Publishing in the United Kingdom. And he put out Harry Potter. Witchcraft on a page, people. I was reading Harry Potter at the time, but my dad, staunch, evangelical, charismatic, surprise coming, Republican, shocker, had no idea, but he knew I was highly engrossed in a book. One night I had what some people call a dream, others call a nightmare. I was searching for my wand in my sleep, and my dad found out. He found out I was reading Harry Potter, and he burned it. That kind of Christian. But my mom, she righted the ship in 6th grade. She accidentally sent my best friend Nadine and I to a Seventh-day Adventist conversion church camp. I only figured out something was weird because the first night at dinner we had tacos. Those are fake tacos. And I am not a marketing expert, but I would wager a small fortune that fake tacos sounds better than fuckos. Second night was fought dogs. Third night was ficken. And we got home, and I was telling my parents about this, and my dad was like, what the hell kind of camp did you send the girls to? And in true to form fashion, because Christianity is very accepting, he was like, the Adventists' God is not the real God either. But the great thing about Christianity is you can ask for forgiveness for anything you've ever done anywhere to anyone. Like saying you accept Jesus in exchange for a troll pencil. As my dad likes to say, Hannah Bug, we are going to be in heaven with Ted Bundy. You heard that, right? According to Fox News, Ted Bundy on his deathbed accepted Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior, and was immediately absolved of all of his sins. So by that logic, let's go upstairs for Thanksgiving dinner in heaven, shall we? So we've got Teddo, who is popping bottles next to us, excited he got away with everything. You know, just by a sheer numbers game, his victims are also in heaven having Thanksgiving dinner with us. Next to me is Amy Coney Barrett, cult leader. Next to her is a therapist, I'm sorry, not a therapist, the rapist Brett Kavanaugh. And at the other end of the table, facing Jesus Christ, is the orange troll in a fucking MAGA hat. This is heaven, ladies and gentlemen. Like, if you don't want to go there, like, I'm pretty excited. It sounds like Florida to me, just forever. Like, sign me up to be with those clowns all year round. And Christianity, you know, it gets a bad reputation, so I'm going to end on a really positive note, which is all about the fairness of the religion. So Christianity has this good book. It's called the Bible. You've probably heard of it. 10 Commandments, you've probably heard of those. If you go against the 10 Commandments, that's called a sin. Every sin in Christianity has the same weight. So if you steal troll pencils at VBS, that's the same weight in the eyes of God as, I don't know, murdering 30 women in the 70s and 80s and getting away with it. Same weight, carries the same weight. The challenge is the law does not see it the same way as the church does. So the very best way to describe it is with purity. So in the Christian religion, it's very important that you don't have before marriage. They don't even like to say it out loud. They like to say fornicate. So they don't want the kids fornicating. So they have two distinct talks that are the same with the kids. So this is the talk with the boys about being pure. So just keep it in your pants. And if it, you know, like if it slips a little bit and it goes in and you just want to see how it feels, just the tip, it's okay. Ask for forgiveness. Never tell your future wife. Let's bring it in. Go, God. For the women, this is redundant, but here's how the talk goes. Barbara, you did what with your boyfriend this weekend? You forced him to sex after you? Okay, I know why that happened. So I saw you in church last week and your skirt was 1 inch higher than it needed to be. You made him lust after you. This is just so typical. You are just like apple tree, Eve, you, forcing the men to lust after you. You know what? You can ask for forgiveness. I don't think it's gonna get granted. We're going to hand you these 2 suitcases of emotional baggage you're going to carry around for about a decade in the church. We're also going to inform everyone in the congregation of what you have done, because there's strength in number when you pray. So everyone can pray for your sins. And honestly, the very best that you can possibly hope for in a future partner is this nice young man. He's a recovering heroin addict, divorcee. He just had a great weekend in Vegas. His name is Kyle. Please be with you all.
Hannah Michelati, ladies and gentlemen, come on! We worked so hard on structuring the set, and the setup, and the return at the end. One more time for everybody. I'm so proud of it. On Sunday, so many great comics here on Sunday. Come back if you can. Idris Wahid, who is from Germany, he's really got a structured set. He's got that German engineering to his set. And he's very, maybe the funniest German you've ever seen. It's here on Sunday. By the way, where's Hannah? Hannah, I'm very excited because I just got a phone. I booked you and Nick to perform at a Mike Pence rally. So, what is it with these right-wingers are so Christian and mean? Are you with me on this? It's like Ron DeSantis. Yeah! Ron DeSantis flew 48 migrants to Martha's Vineyard, but you know, it's like Democrats have finally retaliated. They got a backbone. A plane just landed in Florida with 48 of Herschel Walker's children, so that's a strong start. Our next performer is absolutely fabulous. He takes improv classes here, by the way, which is a great nexus for stand-up comedy. He's got such presence and great material. He keeps churning it out. Please welcome Keller Perry, ladies and gentlemen. Keller Perry.
Hello. My name is Keller. I'm 31 years old, and it wasn't until just recently that I learned what an intact cat is. I had never heard that before. If you don't know, an intact cat is a cat that still has its giblets. It's a cat that has a D with the B's, you know? And I learned this from the Nextdoor app. You know, I got a notification on my phone, and it said, found, intact male cat, very friendly. I was looking at the notification, and when you don't know what that means, it's a really unnecessary adjective to put with a cat. Like, how many incomplete cats has this person found that they felt the need to point out that this is a whole cat? Like, found, male tabby, headless. Seems friendly before it happened. You know that you're over 30 when you're playing Call of Duty with your friends and one of them asks, hey, do you guys have a skincare routine? And these are buddies that I've played since like high school. I've known them since high school. So I could just hear my 18-year-old self reply, like, shut the fuck up, Kevin. Shut up, get your head in the game. We're losing. But I'm not 18 anymore. So instead I said, yeah, actually I've got a 5-step routine. It starts with a charcoal cleanser. And every other day after that I use an exfoliating gel. And then I use an anti-aging serum around my eyes. That has to sit for a minute. That's usually when I floss. Then I use a dark circle defense, and I have to leave that on overnight, but you have to make sure to wash it off in the morning. Oh, shit, we lost. Turning 32 this year, and I'm a little worried that the personality that I currently have is going to be the one that I have forever. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's settling in for the long haul, which seems problematic. I thought I had more time to work out the kinks. You know, for example, I've got a short fuse. I'm not afraid to admit it. I get mad easily, and I get mad at dumb things. Like, every night I'll have a cup of tea before bed. And every, like, 5th cup, I'll go to finish that last little bit, and then the wet tea bag will smack me in the face. God damn it! Or like, I'll forget my laundry basket upstairs, you know, and instead of going up and getting the laundry basket, oh no, I'm gonna carry it all in my arms. And I'm gonna do it in one trip, baby. I'm holding it tight, and I'm inevitably going up the stairs, and I'll feel something brush up against my ankle. And it's a sock that just slipped out. I get so mad at that dumb little sock. You little piece of shit! God damn it! Oh. Or in the summer, I'll wear no-show socks, and some of them don't have their elasticity anymore. And I'll go out for a walk, and I'll just go far enough away from the house where it's just too inconvenient to turn around and go back. But the sock starts to slip underneath my heel. I have to stop and take off my shoe and yank it up over my ankle. Totally defeating the purpose of a no-show sock. Apparently socks are triggering for me, I guess. No, the worst part about the no-show socks is that I'll forget. I'll go home, completely forget that I'm basically wearing a peeled banana peel, you know, around my foot, and I'll throw it in the laundry instead of the trash where it belongs, so that the next time I go for a walk, it happens again. Over and over and over again until I'm dead. Knowing my luck, my family's gonna accidentally bury me in those socks. You know, the mortician's gonna be working on my body. Oh, his socks won't stay on. I have to staple it on. You know, I've never been to an open casket funeral where the body was wearing shorts. seems weird. It's always like a suit or a dress. I wanted to bury my husband in his finest outfit. Okay, Martha. Well, pretty sure Gerald for the last 12 years has only been wearing Tommy Bahamas, and I think we should have respected his wishes and buried him with his knees hanging out, but who am I? Getting older, I can't drink as much alcohol anymore, which is such a bummer, and unreasonable in my opinion. Like, I can't just like drink a whole bottle of wine at night now. I mean, I can, but then I'll try to go to sleep, and instead of passing out, which is what I'd prefer, I'd lie there and close my eyes, try to go to sleep, and then all of my organs are like, wake up! It's time to process all of this alcohol. Let's do it right now. My heart starts pumping. I start sweating. I try breathing, calm my heart. It doesn't work. Turns out that yoga techniques don't really work on a full bottle of Kirkland Malbec. So instead, I try reasoning with my body. You know, I'll talk to it. I'm like, hey, organs, can we just spread this out among the whole night? You know, maybe not process all of it right now. They're like, oh, would that be more convenient for you? Little baby man wants to go to sleep. Yeah, let us just work all night fixing your mistakes. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. I'm being such a dick right now. Yeah! You're being more of a dick than your actual dick. Take some Tums and give us a hand down here. Something that cuts me real deep is seeing a very successful person who is much younger than me. That burns. That's harsh. Like, fuck you, Tom Holland! Like a lot of dejected actors, I work in catering. And catering affords me a lot of opportunities to embarrass myself. Like this one time I was making a martini and I screwed it up, and I screwed it up bad. I basically handed the guy a glass of chilled olive juice. But the key is you play it off confidently, so I was just like, cheers. And then gave him some finger guns. Because finger guns are the telltale sign of someone who is very confident in what they're doing. Another time, I accidentally spilled an entire tray of champagne flutes on a woman at a wedding. I felt so bad. Thankfully, she was pretty cool about it. And I mean that literally. It was chilled champagne and she was drenched. The poor girl didn't even get a glass of champagne though, because I basically threw it at her. So I went and got some more champagne, brought it back, and then I spilled it on her again. I'm not joking, that actually happened. At that point, I was like, I'm gonna let my coworker take over. Now, catering's pretty fun. I'm a social person, and I meet a lot of people in catering, a lot of people. Potentially too many people. You know, you meet every kind of person in catering, and that is too many people. And it's on both sides too, right? So there's the guests, who are generally speaking very nice. But then there's occasionally someone with a very trashy personality. The other night I saw someone with an empty glass and I was like, hey sir, do you need some more wine? And then out of nowhere, a trash person comes in and says, guess who else needs some wine? I said, is it you? It's me. And then on the other side, my coworkers, you know, my staff. Generally nice people. Then there's also some people I don't want to work with. Like high schoolers who don't give a shit. Oh, God. Shut up! I was managing an event. I was like, hey, Trent, can you go do some busing? What? Grab a tray and just go get stuff, please. All right, bet. What does that even mean? But I get it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand why high schoolers don't give a shit about their first jobs. You know, they don't harbor disdain for Tom Holland. They look up to Tom Holland. They still have dreams. They're still intact. That's it for me. Thank you so much, guys.
Taylor Perry, ladies and gentlemen. Taylor Perry. Yeah. Great job, everybody. Now before we go, and I know it's been a long night, but it's been a fun night, hasn't it? For free. For free. But, and we're not going to take very long, but I'm going to ask all of the performers to come on stage. Grab some chairs and stools, and we do a little Q&A. For those of you who want to stay for it, it is not long, but I want to give the audience an opportunity to ask the students or me anything about the class, in case you might be interested in, well, interested in us, interested in the process, interested in comedy, interested in taking the class yourself. Patrick, what's the website where people can go to? Hey, Patrick, what's that website?
That website's portlandcomedy.com.
Okay, portlandcomedy.com.
Get them to say it with you, then they'll remember it.
God, so powerful. Keller, come on up. And how about a hand for everyone on this show tonight? Nick Alderson, Taylor Perry, Dylan Hides, Napoleon Benito, Hannah Michelotti, Hannah Miller, and Jeff Bell. Give them all a round of applause. And where's Ann? Ann Lindsley? Where's Ann? Ann, oh, she's chasing that pig, I guess. I don't know.
She was getting another beer.
Oh, she was getting another beer. Okay. There she is, Ann Lindsley, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to, we take any questions from the audience you have from the students, and I'm going to give this to Napoleon, and just anyone who wants to answer any question, pass the mic, and anybody, go ahead.
Anyone have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Good night.
Thanks.
What's the jump between beginner to intermediate like?
The jump.
It's about 6 feet.
Yeah.
Men don't know.
There's one thing about comedy that I know, it's that stage time is the coin of the realm. We can go over how to structure a joke, how to structure a set, and how to rock home a punchline, all of that, but it's time on stage, basically, because the more you do, the more comfortable you get, and the intermediate class has to do a new set and gets more chances to perform before a live audience. Our intermediate class will also be performing tomorrow. I'll be here. No, March 31st and April 2nd. So it's expanding from a 3 to 5 minute set to a 10 or 15 minute set, and also more stage time, because the more they're on stage, the better they're going to be.
You just take the class, and then you do the set, and then you get a Netflix special, and then you get famous.
And see, I know they arrive when they're funnier than the teacher. That's the moment you want to arrive. No, and what's cool about the classes is that the performer will go up and do some material, I will critique, and then everyone in the class will critique as part of the audience. So it becomes like a writer's room. And some of the best lines that we've gotten have been from other people in the class reacting to the material. And that's a really fun part of the class. And I should add that we're totally supportive. It's like the Great British Baking Show. If you watch that, it's not like these cutthroat American shows, reality shows. We really support each other. Everything is nurturing. Everything is positive. And everybody in all of my classes has bought into that. Anybody else? Oh, yeah, Janet, my friend Janet.
I'm curious about, were any of you or all of you, funny growing up? Were you telling jokes? Were you?
I've been hilarious as long as I can remember. Anybody else?
Say.
Yeah, my therapist says that I shield myself from my trauma using humor, and I probably have been doing it for way longer than is healthy.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think, no, as far as comedy goes, this was an opportunity to take a lot of, just hanging out with friends and just having laughs and so on, but trying to put it in more of a structured setting. And so I've always wanted to do it, so that's kind of what I found it.
One of the things we start with in stand-up, I think it's the easiest to go from your truth. There's an old line, of course, you've heard it a million times about writing, write about what you know and tell the truth. It's the easiest for stand-up comedy because I want them to be who they are. I mean, that's, Nick is Nick. I think you know everybody up here. I think you know the personalities, don't you? Yeah. Just from this set. So we kind of start from there. And I have to say how many times I've heard someone I've been married to for 25 years say, oh, you're just using comedy to cover whatever. But it all jokes. We'll just start out with every joke is based on some truth. The truer the truth, the more you're going to laugh, because these are universal truths that we all react to.
I don't really have cancer. It's not true.
Yeah, I know the name of
Nick is straight. This has all been a ruse, ladies and gentlemen. I have never been on stage before. Anybody else want to join?
Yeah, I can go. I was not particularly funny as a child, but this seemed like a better way to learn about public speaking than Toastmasters. So I'm here.
One of the things about comedy is that studies have shown this, when you use humor, people will remember what you say more often than they'll remember just a lecture or a talk. I gave an example first day of class. I remember Jimmy Walker from, I tell that to students, I call them kids, and they're like, it's like, I was around during the Woodrow Wilson administration. But Jimmy Walker had one of the great political lines I've ever heard. 1980, first line I heard Jimmy Walker say was, more violence in Northern Ireland, Protestants versus Catholics, Catholics versus Protestants, just goes to show you in a country with no blacks, Jews, or Mexicans, people can improvise. Now, I don't think there's a better way to communicate that people can't get along than that, and I always think of it. And I'm sure you'll be remembering voices, you'll be remembering things that you heard tonight that are the truth from individuals, but hit home with universal truths in your own life. Anybody else?
Oh, my question was just what inspired you to do this?
You each have to answer that.
You have 10 seconds.
Thank you. Yes, as noted, I want to be better at public speaking. This seemed fun. I feel like I'll sound like an asshole with my real answer.
Go with your truth, Hannah.
I just feel like I'm funny and funnier than other people.
One of the things I tell them, if you're on stage, go all the way out with it. Say your truth. Don't be tentative. Say it.
I think I'm funnier than everybody except Hannah, so that's why I took the class.
I always got
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I always got a rush, actually, out of making people laugh. And it was, everyone from just one-on-one to, bigger groups of people. The more I got them to laugh, the more of a high I got out of it. And so I not only did stand-up, but I'm also doing the improv here at Comedy Sports. And it's a different animal altogether, but I just love the foundation of just bringing humor to everyone.
Yeah, and I think improv classes and stand-up classes, they are different animals, but you're learning skills which are interchangeable, which is really important. And I just give it up to Patrick and Ruth who run this show decades. Hannah.
I really enjoy public speaking, and for fun I like to do the moth in Portland, if you know it. And Carl doesn't actually know this, but I felt like I hit a rut. Like, I was telling stories, I thought they were funny, people didn't think they were funny, and I thought something was kind of like broken inside of me, and I really enjoyed being funny, and so kind of my left brain wanted to figure out the formula. Like, how do you have that like 1, 2, 3 joke? How do you have people laughing every other sentence? How do comics do it? I started trying to study them online. It didn't make sense because they speak from themselves. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a class. How hard could it possibly be? And the one thing about this class is this is the safest possible environment to try out your materials. You have such supportive people around you. All of you in the audience are here to support us. This isn't an open mic. It's not terrifying. You don't have hecklers and, like, I don't know, people throwing wine at you.
Oh, but that's tomorrow when I'm just...
Yes. So it's a really safe way to practice and try stuff out and know that people are there to help you instead of, I don't know, poke fun at you. So here I am, and I loved it.
I remember being a funny kid and my friends laughing, but at some point in my adult life, people stopped thinking me as being funny, right? Because you're professional, you're serving on boards, and so this was kind of a personal test for me to know, can I be funny? Can I still do this? And it's been a lot of fun.
I don't think I can make it in Hollywood, so this scratches the itch.
There's like two versions to this answer. The one is I grew up my entire life acting. I also spent 3 years doing improv in LA when I moved back in 2018 because I was literally starving. I haven't performed in 5 years up until tonight. So that's been like a huge, my therapist would call it a trauma block. And then the real inspiration was last November, I came to see the last showcase that was done. My friend was in that one. He did such an amazing job. I was like, I am funnier than you. And I'm gonna make sure you know it. He's coming on Sunday.
Yeah. One thing I realized about Nick, which he's told us, when he comes to class and he's had sex recently, he's a lot funnier. And it's like true. So anybody who fucks a lot, this class is great for you.
That wasn't even a joke.
You know, one thing I also want to, we have a question from online, but one thing that I know a lot of people are nervous going on stage, and one of the things I like to do is flip the script and say, yeah, it's about you on stage, but think of what you're giving to an audience. You're giving humor, you're giving laughter, you're giving life. You're telling your story to people who have a universal connection to you in a world that is overwhelming and fucked up. That's a great thing to do. So think about it as a gift that you're giving on stage, not so much how nervous you are or what people would think of you. Flip the script and think, I'm doing something really good. We have a question from online?
Yes. Jared from somewhere asks, for those who have taken improv and stand-up classes, which do you prefer? Controversy.
Oh, who has taken both? Oh, Keller.
Your grade depends on this.
They're different. They're totally, okay. I'd say that improv is way less stressful because people are there knowing that you're gonna mess up. And stand-up is if you mess up, they're not gonna laugh at you and it's gonna be really shitty. So I would say though that the euphoria after doing stand-up is much higher than improv.
Yeah. For people who like to fuck, I'm telling you.
Any other questions?
We do have one. John, also from somewhere, asks,
good for John.
when do you come up with your best jokes?
Well, I think we know the answer in Nick's case. Anybody?
When I'm really high, I have a little notebook that I keep next to me when I wake up in the middle of the night with funny ideas, and I scribble in it. And then the next morning I'm like, why did I write lesbian socks? And then I'd have to figure it out. I don't know.
Just know I'm funny.
For me, they're just little kernels of humor throughout the day. Driving past a church sign that actually had those 3 words and thinking that that can be pretty funny, and just writing those notes down and then trying to write something out of it, and having a supportive partner helps to run the lines by. So, but yeah, mostly just observations throughout the day and then keeping track of them and writing about them to see if there's actually something funny there.
What I've asked everyone to do is first take the gifts that you're given in comedy, things that you see that are just funny on their face. I did the Komen race for the Cure every year on radio, and Gary, the first year, Gary and I took it's a 5K walk, we took our 10-year-old niece, Sophia, and she's like, it's the race for the cure. So she's whining, she said, how much farther? I said, till there's a cure, keep walking. Mrs. Lee did say, is it the lipstick? Gifts. You start with the gifts, and that gets your mind attuned to, because basically what comedy is creativity. It's rearranging the elements of the world. It's taking hillbillies and putting them in Beverly Hills. You'll take on your joke, you'll structure it, and there's always a twist at the end where you're thinking, every brain is thinking one way, and you twist it at the end. One example that I give is Rodney Dangerfield's line, my wife and I were happy for 20 years, then we met. And scientifically, they have actually studied the pattern of the brain, and every joke is based on truth. Every joke has this twist. Every joke also has a victim, which you have to could be self-deprecative. There's an old line in comedy, you have to be careful about that, because a pie in the face of a banker is funny, a pie in the face of a homeless person isn't. So you have to be aware of how to structure a joke and who the victim might be. And it's always fun to poke fun at yourself, because we all have the same kind of foibles as human beings. Anybody else?
Totally.
Dylan.
Yeah. If you take the class, you'll have every friend and family member contacting you with a bit that they think is hilarious. And you'll get to use maybe 1% of the bits. And what's cool about the class is the class will kind of turn on a new part of your brain, which is you'll go through your entire day where you would have been zoning out or listening to podcasts. You're just looking for comedic opportunities, and there's more than you think, which is really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I think of mine in the shower. Also, a good portion of my set I did as the wedding toast at my sister's wedding already. So, I just talked about how everyone there had asked me if she was a lesbian.
I also get good ideas in the shower. I think it's when your brain's relaxed. But one thing I think this class helps you do is it helps you figure out what kind of a learner you are. So for me, I have to say everything out loud. I'm an auditory processor. For some people, it sounds like we have to write it down. Other people have to visually see something. You might have to hear something. It allows you to tap into your senses and practice what really works for you. And for me, it's out loud, in the shower. I'm sure my husband has heard it a million times. But that's it. You figure out what works for you. And you see life a little bit more like a kid instead of an adult, which is pretty fun.
Yeah. Some poetry snaps.
Yeah, I think, life lessons are definitely a thing. Just pulling from real life. There are gems everywhere, and that's one thing, everything from just casually telling jokes with friends, but to find a way to link them all together and tell a kind of a cohesive act. I think improv on top of that helps with filling in some of the gaps, trying to find, not only, also just to listen, because, you're looking for those gems, finding gems in the most unexpected places sometimes, and really just trying to get it all into one act. It's a lot of fun.
I think we're going to wrap it up because you guys have been here a long time. But again,
Do we have any more questions online?
Oh.
Someone from somewhere.
I think both people watching online have asked questions.
We're good.
We're good. So I'll be here tomorrow. No one else will. But on Sunday, again, we have 9. Well, Nick is a repeat performer because he promised he'd have sex Sunday morning, and he's going to be really funny again. And everyone else is different. Don is one of my all-time favorites. John is great. I'm sure I'm going to miss people in the crowd, but send your friends and family back on Sunday. And also, Comedy Portland?
Portland Comedy.
Fuck, dyslexic. PortlandComedy.com.
Actually, Carl, if they do Comedy Portland, we bought that one too, so we're good.
That's incredible. See, that's rearranging elements of the world. And my friend Aiden back there, Aiden be on Sunday night. You've been a wonderful crowd. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being supportive. Hope you've had a great time. Good night. One more time for my students. They're great. Give them a round of applause.